With the election less than 2 weeks away, there are a few things that OSU students need to know.
This week on Pete's Corner, we're talking all about voting. On this episode, you'll learn how to vote, what's on your ballot, and what to expect during voting during a pandemic. Welcome back to Pete's Corner. I'm Emily Wickman.
And I'm Kelsey Briggs. Now, voting is going to look a little different this year due to preventions for COVID-19 outbreaks. Savannah Sundberg takes us through some of those changes we can expect on Election Day.
The 2020 election is approaching fast and will no doubt be different from the elections in the past. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced Americans to make some changes to the voting process. Early voting is an alternative that is meant to decrease the amount of traffic on Election Day. The designated starting dates of early voting differ from state to state. In Oklahoma, early voting starts on October 29th and ends on the 31st. Lydia Stark is planning to vote early this weekend in Texas.
A lot of people aren't like me and a young, healthy college student. Like, there are a lot of people that have serious issues. Like, my Grammy would not have been able to go in person and do that if she wanted to vote. Extremely immunocompromised people, I wouldn't trust it. So I think it's nice they had all the accommodations to not have to go in person.
Many Americans have decided to vote by mail in the 2020 election. This way, they don't need to worry about exposing themselves to COVID-19 by voting in person and waiting in lines. Blake Borges is planning to vote by mail here in Oklahoma.
So this year I decided to mail in vote because I actually work in a field where I already deal with a lot of people. So I thought that it'd be good to take some extra steps and be a little cautious this year. I think it's good that America decided to do this too, because there's a lot of people out there that, they're not very healthy. They may be a little intimidated to go out in the public right now, just in fear that they're going to get the virus. So I think this really gives everybody like an option to vote this year.
While voting by mail and early voting may be more popular this year, voting in person on Election Day, November 3rd, is still an option. Masks are strongly recommended and protocols will be put in place. It is suggested that voters stand 6 feet apart while waiting in line to be called upon one at a time for processing. Then, voters will be directed towards socially distanced voting booths to fill out their ballot in an effort to keep voters and volunteers safe. For Pete's Corner, I'm Savannah Sundberg.
Thanks, Savannah. Now, to find voting guidelines for your state, visit www.vote.org/COVID-19. With the upcoming 2020 presidential election, many students may not know where they can register to vote.
With several resources on campus, students are able to learn about the election and learn how to register to cast their ballot. Kelsey Howsam took a look into what it's like to vote as a student and why it matters.
When students come together to vote, it makes a difference. According to the Pew Research Center, the U.S. Census data showed that our age group of millennials is now as large of a political force as baby boomers. Yet, millennials have the lowest voter turnout of any age group.
I think it's extremely important for college-age students and any young adults to vote because we're one of the largest demographics in the United States, like 18 to 29 years old in the young adult range. We're one of the largest demographics of eligible voters, yet we have one of the lowest turnouts of any demographic.
Since 1964, in presidential elections, voters who are 18 to 24 years of age had the smallest voter turnout.
The college Democrats and I believe the college Republicans have both hosted multiple voter registration booths and have coordinated to help educate people on how to get registered, how to vote, all the rules and things. And then even like random student organizations such as Student Alumni Network and I know like certain major clubs, they will set up voter registration tables around campus.
Grace Gunderson, the director of communications for Oklahoma State College Democrats, says driving home to vote isn't always feasible.
If you are early on in your 4 years of college, register in Stillwater. If you are a student in that town, you're there 9 months out of the year. You're going to make way more of a difference voting in that county than where you are. I personally go back to Tulsa just because it's only like an hour and a half drive. But if you are from Texas, you're from somewhere that's like rural Oklahoma and it takes 6 hours to get home, it's not feasible to go home every time.
The students at Oklahoma State University have the ability to get involved and make a difference just by showing up.
So it's, I think, really just the big thing that all of us, like as a takeaway, have gotten on this is that you have to vote in local elections. And ultimately, if you're not registered in the city that you're living 9 months out of the year, like you're not going to be able to make a difference in what's going on around you.
By voting in the city that you are living in for 9 months out of the year and becoming knowledgeable about the elections that are happening, students can come together and make an impact. For Pete's Corner, I'm Kelsey Howsam.
There are several places to vote in Stillwater, like the Wes Watkins Center, which is where we are currently. When we come back, we'll be sitting down to talk more about how out-of-state students are voting.
I want to show you something. This is the money we could save by switching from fresh packed California crushed tomatoes to concentrated tomato paste.
I want to show you something too. I got a new door. Go take a look at it.
Nobody uses better ingredients than Little Caesars, like fresh packed California crushed tomatoes. Pick up a large, deep dish for just $8. Pizza.
Introducing Lincoln Black Label at Diffie Ford Lincoln. Designed to impress those with impeccable taste, Lincoln Black Label features a collection of interior themes and a host of exclusive membership privileges, inspired by attention to detail and a love of automobiles. With Lincoln Black Label, you'll enjoy an extended premium maintenance plan that covers wear items or even remote vehicle delivery. Lincoln Black Label isn't about luxury ownership, it's about membership. Lincoln Black Label, exclusively at Diffie Ford Lincoln.
At ASAP Energy, our goal is to provide the best customer service for whatever our clients need.
My relationship with ASAP Energy came about in 2007. I was wanting to build a convenience store. I didn't know how to do it. I'd never been in the business. I just felt comfortable with Rick. And so I knew that I wanted to do business with a guy like that. Integrity, loyalty, and family. I would recommend that to anybody. Thanks for taking a chance on me.
At ASAP Energy, everything matters.
Welcome back to Pete's Corner. I got the chance to talk to some out-of-state students and how they're using their voice on November 3rd.
November 3rd is just around the corner, and students at Oklahoma State are using campus and their social media to promote voting registration and how important it is to exercise this right. For in-state students, understanding the voting process and finding the right resources is easily accessible. But for out-of-state students, it can be intimidating and difficult to figure out how to get started. Students like Hunter Clark are excited about voting for the first time, but are unsure about what voting outside of their home state looks like.
So I think the one thing that I'm mostly unsure about is just the entire process of actually going in and voting or voting by mail or how any of that's going to work, especially because that's kind of a new thing for everyone to figure out. My parents are the biggest influence when it comes to politics, so they kind of teach me how to do those things, so not being at home with them is going to make things pretty difficult.
Besides registering to vote, applying for vote by mail is the next important step that an out-of-state student has to take, and it's super easy. Being from Florida, I have to do the exact same thing. One way to go about this is to go online and search your county, for example, mine's Alachua, and type in ballot 2020.
Click on your county's website and click Vote by Mail. It'll take you to the first page to fill out the application. After that, you'll get a confirmation email and wait for your ballot to come in the mail.
Okay, your ballot finally comes in, but you have no idea where you stand on these important issues or how to break down your ballot. I spoke with OSU Visiting Assistant Professor Dr. Amy Friesenhahn to get some advice for the out-of-state students to see how they can best prepare for this election by doing research on the candidates with non-biased sources like vote411.org.
Vote411.org, you can also go in and put the address where you're registered, and it'll give you a sample ballot, but not just like the sample ballot that you can look up on your like state or local county elections board, a sample ballot where they have sent candidate questionnaires to all of the candidates on the ballot. And so they'll ask about different issues, and candidates who respond, so not all candidates respond, but most candidates do. So candidates who respond, you can compare.
For more information on what you need to vote, visit www.vote.org. We're 2 weeks away from November 3rd, and it's crucial for candidates to push out advertisements for their candidacy.
But what exactly can be considered a credible source, especially when looking at political information on social media? Now, I took an inside look at some tips and tricks on how to avoid clickbait and how to fact check your sources, and also how to avoid viruses.
This election has been nothing short of eventful. From coronavirus cases to debates, it is often hard to keep up with so much news. Even worse, it is harder to determine what online sources are trustworthy and those that are not. Dr. Matt Moda is an assistant professor of political science at Oklahoma State and has devised a plan called the 3 C's: click, corroborate, and consult, to help individuals crack down on false information.
Click on a story. Actually read beyond the headline to see whether or not that story references sources that are then linked to, that you can assess their veracity, whether or not the claims in the story make sense or sound too good to be true.
According to an article from Inc.com, a group of researchers from the University of Oklahoma and the University of Mississippi studied over 1.6 million clickbait websites. Researchers found that social media users have been targeted through supposed political ads on their Facebook homepages. These pieces can be hard to spot, but Chairman of the Board of Commissioners for Payne County, Chris Redding, says if it entices your emotions, it is not a credible source.
All of that is engineered to get you sucked in, to get you emotional and stop thinking and start clicking.
So what is clickbait and how do I spot it? Well, if you focus your attention to the article above me, it has a very attention-grabbing headline. So when we click on it, we are brought to a third-party website that is not even related to the initial story. That is considered clickbait. Most clickbait ads on Facebook often result in identity fraud and can place viruses on your computer. Using websites like the Associated Press and Snopes are steps to help avoid unreliable sources and viruses. For Pete's Corner, I'm Kelsey Briggs.
I had no idea that social media platforms could target you through their ads.
Right, and it's important now more than ever to stay up to date on those political things on social media. Now, I know my social media has been asking me if I'm a registered voter for like every 5 seconds.
When we come back, we'll talk more about some of the elections going on in Payne County.
Where were you born? It's a question asked all the time. Because where you're from shapes who you are, inspires how you do things. And when that inspiration comes from a place this refreshing, this majestic, this, well, you get the idea. Coors Light, born in the Rockies.
Welcome back to Pete's Corner. Although the United States presidential election is the most prominent race, the people of Stillwater are still voting in the local elections. Taya Sappington breaks down how the candidates of the District 21 State Senate deserve your vote.
Oklahoma is divided into 48 state Senate districts. Stillwater, Oklahoma, and surrounding areas lie in District 21, and on November 3rd, the people of Payne County will vote in the District 21 state senator election. Tom J. Duggar, a Republican from Stillwater, ran unopposed in the 2016 general election and is the current incumbent. Duggar has over 40 years of experience in audit, tax, and corporate accounting as a certified public accountant and also served on 6 committees within the state Senate. Duggar says his experience makes a tremendous difference, but his most important duty as a legislator is to represent the people of Payne County.
We are the representative of the people of Oklahoma, especially of our specific district. We represent their hopes, their abilities for the future.
Residents in communities like Stillwater experience firsthand the impact of local elections such as this one, so knowing the difference between candidates is crucial. Democratic candidate Rick Dunham says voters need to be aware of the fiscal responsibilities senators carry, especially during a pandemic.
We're dealing with a rapidly changing economy. I think it wouldn't be a stretch at all to make the statement that this has been the most important election up to this point in our lives.
Dunham, who also attended OSU and served in the United States Army, has 3 key messages of his campaign: building economic diversity, cybersecurity, and education. In a candidate survey, he listed things that would make him a successful office holder, including innovative thinking, affability, and both his military and academic background. In-depth information on both Duggar and Dunham, as well as Senate District 21, can be found on ballotpedia.org. For Pete's Corner, I'm Taya Sappington.
It's easy to forget how important the local elections are, but they affect us right here at home. District 21 is not the only one having elections this year.
That's right, Emily. District 34 is having an election as well. And now reporter Ellen Slater got to sit down with the 2 candidates, Trish Ransom and Dr. Aaron Means.
There are many elections going on this fall, but there's one that is very personal right here in Stillwater. Stillwater is located in District 34, and the seat for the House of Representatives is up for grabs. It is between Democrat Trish Ransom and Republican Dr. Aaron Means. I sat down with Trish Ransom, who is rerunning as she has held the seat since 2018. I got to learn a little bit about her campaign.
Of making sure that everyone is accounted for and everyone is being thought of when it comes to making policies, that we're not just focusing on a small group of people, that we're thinking bigger scale, that we're thinking of folks from all different walks of life, all different ages, all different socioeconomic levels. I mean, I want to make sure that whatever policies we put in place is going to be the best for the most Oklahomans as possible.
The city of Stillwater is located in House District 34. That's the district that Ransom or Means will represent in the House of Representatives. Dr. Aaron Means is the Republican candidate. Other than a politician, he's a patriot, veteran, and healthcare professional.
After being elected, if you elect me, on November the 4th will be when I start writing that first bill to help to prevent the moving of funds or shifting the funds around for education.
While Ransom has already served on the House of Representatives for 3 years, if Means were to win, this would be his first time.
If you want a candidate who want to work hard to try to help to diversify the economy, help small businesses, I am your candidate.
Both the candidates have not always been politicians. Democrat Ransom was a school teacher in Stillwater for 15 years.
But because I'm in the minority, I have the freedom to speak up more. The folks that are in the majority caucus a lot of times have to vote according to party line. And so because I am not part of the majority, I don't have those restrictions on me. And I can speak up and I can be loud if I need to.
Means and Ransom both urge Stillwater citizens to vote. Information on where to early vote is on paynecounty.org. For Pete's Corner, this is Ellen Slater.
It looks like we'll have some pretty important races that will shape our town a lot. Now, we're going to cut to commercial, but when we come back, we'll talk about how students can get involved with the elections.
The Deli Department at Homeland is Oklahoma's headquarters for party trays. Enjoy the time with family and friends at your next event, and let your neighborhood Homeland create the perfect fruit, deli, or cheese tray for you. The party planners at Homeland will help you choose the perfect party food, sized just right for your guests. Call us, stop in, or order online, and we'll make it ready for pickup on your schedule. Make your next party special with a party tray from your neighborhood Homeland.
Good to be home, Homeland.
Love these things. Hilarious.
Sorry, force of habit.
As long as you are you, it's Miller time.
Hi, it's Sam at Louis Grill and Bar, here to introduce our new menu items from south of the border. Come try our new Poblano chicken tacos, or the ever-popular Sriracha shrimp tacos. At Louie's, where you come for the food, but stay for the fun.
It's hard to imagine my life before her, or a day without her. So much of what I take for granted simply wouldn't exist. She is the force that holds our life together. She is my everything, the center of my universe, from Forevermark. The diamond, the promise. Available at Lewis Jewelers.
Welcome back to Pete's Corner. Now, for students who are passionate about politics, there are ways for them to get involved in elections here in Stillwater.
Students are finding more ways to get involved in politics than traditional voting. Some students at Oklahoma State University are joining campaign teams. Students can do a variety of things on campaigns, such as making phone calls, tabling, and canvassing. Campaigns vary from local candidates to elections on a national scale. Riley Pritzlaff is a sophomore political science major. He's a deputy organizer for Kendra Horn, who is running for re-election for the House of Representatives. He says misinformation is rampant right now.
It's easier to tackle than it looks like. Typically, an in-depth conversation with a voter is usually enough to really, get them on your side, get them to see your point of view.
Pritzlaff says he joined the campaign through the fellowship program, which he applied for after he heard about it from a professor. Students wanting to get involved with elections have many options here on campus and in Stillwater, like these students behind me who are tabling in front of the student union. Working on a campaign is a fast-paced job with a lot of variety that students can get paid for. Marcus Moss worked on Margaret Best's campaign for House District 96, and he says it takes a lot of work to get the word out about a candidate.
My favorite part would probably have been just getting to speak to people and hearing other people's political views and stuff. Like, even if they didn't align to mine, it was still interesting.
Pritzlaff says when making phone calls or going door to door, people are often willing to discuss issues and help with the campaign. He says the best way to get involved is to ask, and there are about 30 students working on the same campaign as him.
Reach out. It's really easy just to reach out to a campaign. I mean, I started with a local campaign with Trish Ranson, and really all it takes is just reaching out to either the candidate or someone on their team, and they'll usually find a way to get you plugged in.
For students who want to do more than just fill out a ballot, can help inform others by joining a campaign. For Pete's Corner, I'm Lauren Eggleston.
Thank you, Lauren. Isn't it cool that while we're still in college, we can be involved in the election?
It's super cool. As a multimedia journalism major, it's so awesome to see how these students are able to do what they love so early in their career.
Oh, absolutely. But if you're not as involved with voting, there's still the option for the mail-in ballot. Reporter Kristen Trujillo tells us some more tips and tricks on how to get your mail-in ballot in on time.
This year, mail-in ballots are more prevalent in the election than they have ever been before. For many college students, mail-in ballots are essential for voting in their home state when they are away at school.
So I'm from Dallas, and for me it didn't make sense to have to drive all the way home to vote in person, but I wanted my vote to count, so I had to apply for an absentee ballot.
Obtaining a mail-in ballot is easier than you might think. The first step to getting your mail-in ballot is getting the application, which you can request on vote.org after filling out a form with your voting information. You can download a printable version of the application, or you can request for one to be mailed to your address to fill out and return. If you choose to print it, all you have to do is fill it out and put it in the envelope to send out. If you're requesting a mail application, you don't have to worry about buying an envelope. You can fill it out and return it in the envelope provided. After you fill out your ballot application, all you have to do is find your local outgoing mailbox and drop it in. And now you're one step closer to casting your vote. Once you receive your ballot, it's time to vote.
So you'll get your ballot, and this is a sample ballot, but you'll get your ballot. So you always want to make sure that you look at the front and the back because there are questions on the back. Okay, and you're just going to fill those out with a black pen, just like you would at the polls.
Once you've casted your vote, you can go ahead and seal up your envelope and drop it back off at your local outgoing mailbox.
This would have your identification up here with your own special barcode, so we know that it's your ballot coming back and we can give you credit for it.
Voting is an important part of our democracy, and it is important to make sure that your voice is heard. No matter if you're in your home county or in a different state, your vote still matters. For Pete's Corner, I'm Kristen Trujillo.
Depending on your state, mail-in ballots are due at different times. Now you can check online for each individual state.
That's all we have for you on this episode of Pete's Corner. Tune in next week when we cover international and cultural organizations at OSU.